Dear editors, this one's for you. Stop being so nice. As a writer, especially in the indie sphere, one of my biggest frustrations is with editors. And it's not because they mark up my manuscript. The frustration comes when they don't. If you saw my video about the decline of book quality, I did briefly touch on this subject, but now I'm going to go a little more in depth here. As a writer, I find the lack of editors with a firm hand to be very frustrating. But before we get into that, let's talk about the difference between a firm hand and someone who's just mean. Literary snobs versus proper critiques. The stereotype of a literary snob it was once rightly earned, probably still in some circles is still rightly earned. But I'd say that that stereotype has dramatically decreased in recent years. Once upon a time, editors and others in the literary world found a simple joy in crushing the hopes and dreams of writers. They enjoyed tearing their work apart and sparing no feelings, and telling you exactly where you should put your manuscript. The issue with this, aside from the fact that they're crushing hopes and dreams, is that it's not constructive. And it doesn't see the gem that it is in most stories. Proper editor looks at the story in hand and how to embrace and polish that story, not the one they want to tell. And they do it out of a desire to make the story better, not hurt the writer's feelings. They recognize all the gunk that needs to get scraped away and tossed to the side, and what needs to be added to all really help the story shine. A good editor also complements the good stuff that's there. And this is done more than just to encourage the writer. While, yes, that is an important part of positive feedback, it's also good to let the writer know what they're doing that is working. It's constructive. Now that mean versus useful editors is out of the way, here's some reason editors today are a little too soft. Simply overly sensitive and reactive writers. Yes, writers were the first ones to blame here. Sharing your manuscript, even to an editor, is nerve wracking. Everyone wants to hear that their little baby that they've worked so hard on doesn't have much that needs to be fixed. But unfortunately, especially if you are a newer writer, this isn't going to be the case most of the time. And much to an editor's dismay, there are too many delusional and overly sensitive writers who just can't handle the feedback. So any critique, no matter how constructively given, becomes an attack, and the writer returns with venom. So it's no rare occurrence for an editor or even literary agents to get hateful messages from writers when receiving news that they either need substantial edits or that a literary agent rejected their query. And so, aside from hate filled emails, there's some wild ones out there. You should look them up. Wonderful editors might find themselves also getting poor reviews thanks to these kinds of writers, and which directly impacts their ability to make money, their ability to get more clients. So it's understandable why editors would be overly nice. It's often a way just to protect themselves. Now, number two, editors just don't understand editing. While I find it absolutely wonderful that anyone with the skill set to edit can now immediately control their careers, they don't have to know the right people. They don't need to get the internship first. They can take their skills and immediately start applying them. There's the downside to it. Everyone could offer editing services. This means people without the proper skills are offering their services, and you aren't going to get what you paid for with them. And this is not done on the editor's part with nefarious intentions most of the time. I would venture to say that most are very passionate about books and helping writers. But these editors also come from a place of inexperience. Now, if you are a new editor and you are advertising yourself as such, and you're either doing free work or discounted work because you're trying to build up your skills and you tell your clients up front, this video isn't directed to you. This video is for the people who go out thinking they can be an editor right out the gate without the practice and charging full industry price without telling the clients that they're brand new at this. So, along with wanting good reviews on their work, new editors are afraid of coming across as mean. They're afraid of upholding that literary snob stereotype. So, they tend to pull their punches. This does the clients a disservice. The writers aren't improving their craft or their writing ability. It also hurts the editor's reputation because once someone reads their edited work, and it needs a lot more editing, it doesn't reflect well on the editor. Worst case scenario is that the person offering their editing services, they just don't have an editor's eye. Like I said in a previous video, you could be a wonderful writer or even great at creating book reviews, but that doesn't mean you're going to have the same skills necessary to be an editor. And on the flip side, you could be an excellent editor, but you're just not a good writer. It can happen. So, what happens is when these editors don't actually have the editing eye or skill set, they might be able to tell that something is wrong, but they can't articulate why or how to fix it. As an editor, being able to give feedback on how to fix a problem is very important. You need to give your clients suggestions on what they're doing wrong. Or instead of saying, hey, your story is just not very engaging, you can pinpoint why. Be like, hey, you're actually telling me things instead of showing me, and being able to point out an example on how to fix it. So, what happens sometimes if you don't know how to articulate it, these editors just don't bring it up at all. Overall, constructive honesty is best if you have agreed to edit someone's work, whether you're doing it on the cheap or at industry pricing. Please be honest with the author. Pick the top one or two biggest problems you see reoccurring in the manuscript. Focus on those issues, but also let them know that they're going to need another round of revisions once this is fixed. If you're an editor, you should be dedicated to making the story shine. And that can't happen if you tiptoe around the problems. After all, they are paying you for your expertise and honesty. As for writers, learn to take constructive criticism. And this all ties back into Colossians 3:23. No matter what you're doing, work at it as if working for the Lord. So always strive for excellence whether you're writing or editing books.